Hello, welcome to How to VLAN channel. This is DB VLAN stream. Today in this video, we are going to see how to limit or maintain the connections on Oracle database using the Oracle's age-old technology, which is DBA profiles. It's been a long time since I last uploaded a video, and thanks for staying tuned to How to VLAN channel. Let's get started. As usual, we start with the steps being described. Okay, so objective: how to maintain or control the connections using DBA profile in Oracle database. One thing I just wanted to call out, actually there was a hiccup wherein while I was recording the screen, somehow my laptop got upgraded, so I was not able to record the audio live. I recorded it, but it didn't record well, so I need to do a voiceover. So you may see my voice is not aligned with the video tutorial at times, but please stay tuned. If I find a time, I will re-record the session. Otherwise, this is what you get. All right. So we just saw the reference URL. I was just walking you through the reference URL for this exercise. I just showed you just before a few minutes. Now we will draft the steps. So first step is to identify the candidate users, the profile setting. So we are given a user and we wanted to limit the connections for that particular user, isn't it? That's how we start. So this is how you do it. So I'm connecting to the SQL Plus here. You see on my screen, I'm connecting to the SQL Plus and you can see my environment setting, and I'm going to run all the queries which I was showing you on the notepad. So this exercise is going to be done on a pluggable database. So it's a multi-tenant architecture. So this is how you verify whether you are on a multi-tenant or not. Select CDB from VDALA database. If it shows yes, you are on a multi-tenant architecture. And inventory PDB is the PDB database on which we are going to actually carry out this exercise. So to connect or to perform all the operations on a pluggable database, you need to just run auto session set container equal to the pluggable database name. This is what we just did. And then when you run show PDB, it will list you only the database name of that particular pluggable database. So then we set all the environment SQL plus setting, and then we run the command. We capture this output. You see here, these are the various users on the pluggable database which are not created by Oracle. We collected the output and then we pasting it to the notepad. So because this will be blogged again back, so you will be having a blog output as well. And you can see in this inventory ADM is our candidate user. So if you see, I'm highlighting that, and its profile is default. And also see the same default profile is assigned to multiple users. This is needed because at a later point in time we are going to see how this change to this default profile is going to impact other users and what we do to work around this. Now we are going to examine what are the limits already set for this default profile. So let's check that. This is a command that you need to run. All right. So if you see, I have this idle time value set to unlimited. All right. Right now, this is unlimited, but we wanted to limit it to some numbers. So when the connection goes idle for that many number of minutes, the connection is automatically killed. So the state of the connection will be in killed state after that. So let's see. The inventory ADM user account after the idle time needs to be terminated. That's our objective, so that the user will not spin up multiple connection. But in this project, I picked up this inventory ADM as the candidate user, but really this inventory ADM serves my inventory, so I really will not want to kill it. So just think about it. All right, so we collect all the outputs together and we paste it in the notepad. So let's move on. And so if you look at the reference document I gave in the blog, you will see the blog, right? This will tell you about what is this really, this idle time parameter is all about. So right, the default value of the default profile for the idle time resources unlimited, meaning database will not terminate your session. Your session will stay active as long as you are connected, right? But if you mention some numbers for that by modifying the profile, then that number is actually a minute. It's a numerical value and it accepts numerical value. and that is actually counted as minute. If we set it to 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But for our purpose, testing purpose, we are going to set it as 2 minutes. Okay. So, and the client will realize that the session is terminated only when they run the command SQL query. Until then, they will never know. So, say for instance, you got a connection from a client, but you had an idle time setting. And the connection was idle for that many number of minutes. Session is killed. But the end client, say for instance, DB or a SQL developer, JDBC programmer, Java programmer, anything, they will never know until they try running a query. So that's what this idle time resource limit does. And there is one more resource limit which is called inactive account time. As the name applies, it is for account. So what does this really means? If you have a user account, consider inventory ADM user. That user has not logged in for say 1 week time. You can actually lock that user account. So that's again a security restriction. Say for instance, we don't want any user to stay unlocked for a very long time and it's not at all used also, right? So you can enable a resource limit called inactive account time. If you mention anything on that, it is counted as days. Say for instance, with idle time it is minutes. Inactive account time is measured in days. If you say after 2 days of inactive account time, lock the user. So the third day when the user, say for instance, inventory ADM did not log into the database for last 3 days, after the second day the account will be locked. And the third day when he logs in, he will see a account locked message. That is what that means. All right. So how do we actually modify this setting? Can do we go directly and modify the default profile value, say using alter profile command? But I already told you the default profile is not just used for only the inventory ADM user, but it is used for more than one user. So if we end up modifying the default profile limit, then it will impact all the users. We don't want that situation. How do you work around that then? We generate the DDL of the in default profile, and then we will modify the settings we need, only the limits for the resources we wanted to modify, we modify them, and then we create a new profile, and that new profile we will assign it to the candidate user. That's the way to go. All right, so that's what we are going to do. We are going to generate the DDL of the default profile. Here you do that. See, yeah, you need to set long. So that kind of instruction was missing, then I later added it. You see here it populates an alter profile. I don't know why it populates alter profile. But ideally, it should say create profile. Maybe we'll check at a later point in time if you run for the non-default profile that we are going to create. Will it generate create profile command or not? Alright, so that's what I am highlighting alter profile command. Okay, it should have put a create profile. Anyway, we are going to change this to alt from alter to create, and then we will change the limit for idle time also to some numbers because we got the command copy pasted, so we will change the command as needed and create the profile. All right, so just watch the video for another few minutes, a few seconds. Okay, so copy paste it, then now change alter to create profile, and from default to profile underscore some idle time out or something. So the idle time value is changed to 2, you see in the video, and from default I'm changing this to prof underscore idle. I think that's what I said. Yeah, prof underscore idle. Yeah. Now we'll create this profile and we check the limits of this profile. We run the same command we ran for the default profile, and you get everything. And you can notice the idle time value is set to 2. But we really wanted to verify that these profile limits are not much different from the default profile because we copied the default profile limits, so we wanted to be sure that it doesn't change. So we copy paste this content of the default profile output and the new profile we created, custom profile we created, and we do a diff between those two and see if they really are same or different. So hyperism, then yeah, right. So this is what we did. Now we delete all this. Yep, it's gone. Now let's do the diff using the plugin. for Notepad++ compare plugin, and you can see that there is only one thing that is different between the left and right, which is idle time. So this looks good. So let's go move on. Now we are sure that this is the only change that we did. Now we can assign the profile. This is how we assign. There was a issue in the command. I put a single quote around the keyword profile name, but it should be not be. So that's the reason why you're seeing this error. So I just would change this to auto profile. Yeah, exactly. I do this way, and now I assign this value. It works fine. So the default profile value is changed. Now again, we will examine if the profile was assigned to the end user using the same old command we were running, which is select username, comma profile, and so on. The command we will run from DB users to verify the profile got assigned, and then we will run through the test routine to see if the profile that we assigned is working well or not. That also we are going to do now in a minute. So yeah, this is in time to save the output. I'm doing that. Let's now run DB users. Yeah, you can see here now it's no more default profile. It is profile underscore that idle time control. Okay, so but this is really this exercise I really do this as part of my learning for supporting my project. Okay, so let's talk about it and towards the end of this video. You know much more in detail about it. Now we try logging into the dbeaver. Here for this exercise or demo, I used dbeaver as a tool. So I connect to dbeaver using the inventory ADM user and password. I already got my password stored, so I was able to connect immediately. And I will run some test sequels like select star from user underscore object. There is really no uses. And there is really no object found on that particular schema, so it will not report anything. But we run this to ensure that we are able to see the connection on the database and they are also staying active. And you see, because I got the password stored, I was just showing you on screen if I'm really connected using inventory ADM user. So now we will run the query to get the session into active state. You see, it's now returning fine, but after the session is killed, you will see an error, weird error, but you will see it now. Not weird, an expected error. You can see if we have any user sessions for the inventory ADM. There are 3 sessions. This looks like the DB Weaver is a heavy tool. For one single connection, it launched 3 connections. So let's examine all the SQL IDs that it launched. So you can see on the screen that it ran some because I saw 3 connections, but I didn't run. I connected using only one user account and password, but it established 3 in turn. So in case of an Oracle rack and if you have enabled some sort of service HA, you will have a shadow session on the other node. Similar to that, here it has 3 sessions, but it's not shadow session. Every individual module it connected one session. So now I examining all the sequels one by one to see which of the session is really my sequel. This session is my the session ID. I think I could really not see 63 or something. So the session ID right now we saw which was 73 SQL ID. That's the SQL. That's the session which was running the SQL text. Select object start from the user underscore object. That session. But anyway, when the session gets terminated, all 3 sessions should reflect the value. So anyway, we will just examine other SQLs and then we move forward. So stay tuned and you can see what happens next. All right. So we examine it again. We have the session still active. I mean, when I say active, they're still inactive and it's not terminated yet. The sessions are still visible. We have to leave it for 2 minutes idle as per the test routine, right? It's now counting in the idle time. And then we just keep running. So this is we are now into the 2 minutes idle time. So we now just saw the sessions were terminated, and you the one surprising thing that I noticed was the sessions were in killed state, and even in one of the notes from Oracle, it said that sessions are left in killed state. Here it says snipped state, but I guess it's more or less the same. In 19C we saw killed state, but in 1202 maybe it would have showed snipped state. I'm yet to read this document. I'll read about it and let you know. This is where I said this is a very good learning for me. And towards the end, I saw some surprises. This is that surprise. So the session is left in killed state after the idle time, which means that it's this particular session and process are still accounted as part of the resource limits. So you see, the session is in killed state. So now we have to examine the DB viewer, whether DB viewer is also showing that the session is terminated or not. So we just try run the same SQL. We have it all the steps narrated, and you see the session is no longer alive. It throws an error saying the session is killed. So it was a soft kill. We'll now check the database alert log also to be sure what's the error message we have. So before that, we will connect all the outputs we noticed. So the outputs from the SQL Plus and the output from the DB Viewer, and then the other outputs we need. Yeah, just copy pasting the outputs. So we wait. The sessions lasted for an ideal of 2 minutes, and then later it got terminated. Yep, it's in the killer state. This all will be you'll get an opportunity to see them all in the block. So this is what we read about and we saw, but I don't understand the rationale behind it. We will take the snippet of this. The viewer output. I put this image in the blog, and we will also examine the database alert log now in a minute. Because we wanted to assess if a database throws some error for the action that it was performed. So that's how I came to know the kill was a soft kill. That's why we left here. You see that 3 sessions have been terminated around 12:40 to 17. So those are the 3 sessions that came from the DB viewer, which had a session idle time of only 2 minutes. 2 minutes looks very aggressive, but in your case, you may not be 2 minutes, maybe 1 hour, 1 day, or something like that. So we need to learn much more about soft kill. Okay, so I think this is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. All right, so thanks for staying with me, even though I didn't upload a video for a month. Thanks again. If you have any comments or feedback, please feel free to share on the comment section. And thanks again for joining.